Thanks to Envato Elements for sponsoring this video. For more information, check the affiliate link in the description. Hello everyone and welcome back to Weekend Visual Effects. Today we're going to be taking a look at 3D motion tracking, specifically how to use the After Effects camera tracker, send that data over to Blender with the AE to Blend plugin, and finally normalize our scene to a real-life scale. Blender does have its own tracking system, but it is a bit more manual, whereas After Effects Camera Tracker does most of the heavy lifting for you. Now, there are some things to keep in mind before you even get to the motion tracking stage. First, the shutter speed, which controls how much motion blur there's going to be in your shot. Normally, you would keep your shutter speed at double what your frame rate is. So in case you're shooting at 24 frames per second, then you would keep it at 50. But when you know you're gonna have to 3D track your shot in post, then it's good to at least double it or even quadruple it if you're gonna have extreme camera movements. Secondly, look for visual contrast. What I mean by that is to make sure the surface you want to track has some sort of texture or pattern that the software can latch onto. This concrete tiling is perfect in this case because it has a lot of shapes and colors. If you have a flat object with no contrast points whatsoever, then the computer will have a hard time figuring it out. Another big no-no are reflective surfaces. If you look closely at this shot, the ground is reflecting other elements and creating this sort of parallax effect, which will confuse the heck out of your software. Alright, so those were some things to consider when shooting footage that you know you're gonna have to 3D track in post. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here we are now in After Effects, and I'm gonna click and drag the clip into the new comp icon. By the way, if you don't have any footage to practice with, I'm gonna make sure to leave the link in the description so you can download this clip and follow along. Now, before we track this, let me show you an effect that's called Unsharp Mask. We can click and drag that into the layer. And let's say set the amount to 200, and we'll zoom in, toggle it on and off. You can see the difference. It basically adds contrast where bright and dark values meet. So by comparison, it looks like it's out of focus without it. And now before we add the camera tracker effect, we have to pre-compose this. So we'll do Unsharp Clip and move all attributes. So that way, when we add the 3D camera tracker, it doesn't give us any errors. And right away, once we add it, it will start doing its thing, but let's cancel it and look at a few settings. So first of all, we have shot type. By default, it's set to fixed angle of view, which means After Effects will analyze the shot and try to determine what focal length was used to shoot this footage. And then there's also the variable zoom, which you would use in case you have zoom ins and zoom outs in your clip. And then finally, you have specify angle of view, which I usually like to use, especially when I know the exact focal length that I used. But the thing is that it says angle of view here, as opposed to maybe focal length millimeter or something like that. So how do we know the angle of view of our shot? Well, we can go over to Layer, New Camera, and all you have to know is the sensor size of your camera and the focal length that you use on your lens. In my case, it was a Sony a7S III, which has a full frame 35mm sensor size and a focal length of 24mm, which is exactly what we have here. And if you have the measure film size set to horizontal, which is what we need for the camera tracker plugin, you can see the angle of view is right there. So you can Control C to copy that, then cancel because we don't need a camera, and just paste it here. Now, real quick, I want to take a moment to show you this really cool website I found, Omni Calculator, which allows you to set the sensor size of your camera, maybe an APS-C 1.5 and a focal length of 24mm. The equivalent to that would be 36.5 in a 30mm full frame sensor. But as I said, I was using a Sony a7S III with full frame at 24mm. But the thing is that I was using the in-body image stabilization, which is called Steady Shot. And if you have it set to active, it will give you very smooth stabilization, even if you shoot handheld, but it does give you a 1.1 crop. So this is where we would type that value in. We'll do 1.1 and it will give us the correct focal length. So let's copy that. Back in After Effects, we'll set the focal length to be 26.4, and now we have the correct angle of view value, and we'll paste that back in there. Now finally, let's hit Analyze. And making sure you set the angle of view properly not only gives you a better tracking result, but it will also give you a camera with the exact same focal length you used when you shot the footage. And it failed. Now you may be thinking, what went wrong? Because this shot does look like a pretty trackable shot, so to say. Well, if you go under the advanced panel and under solve method, you can see the option is set to auto detect, which After Effects automatically tries to assume what kind of scene this is. And I guess it went for the mostly flat scene option, but for some reason it fails. So we have to choose typical instead, and right away you get all of these points and we have a successful solve. There's also the tripod pan option, which is what you would use in case your camera was static and just panning or tilting around, hence the name tripod pan, as opposed to the camera moving in 3D space. And now you can see the average error is 0.73 pixels, which is quite great because ideally you want it to be at 1 pixels or lower than that. There is another option that says detailed analysis, which I guess tries to do a better job at it. But as you can see, the average error now went up to 0.99. So it really does depend on your shot. Sometimes it gives you better results, sometimes it doesn't. So in this case, we'll turn it off. And we're pretty much done with the track. So now let's select a few of these points around here and then right click, first set ground plane and origin, which will make that the center of your scene. And then right click, create solid and camera. And that will generate a 3D camera as well as this solid that sits flush on the ground. Now, before we move on to Blender, let's also go inside of the unsharp clip and then we'll disable the unsharp mask effect, hit Ctrl M to add to render queue, set the output module format to JPEG sequence, we'll hit OK, set the destination, and then we can hit render. We're doing this so that when we import it back in Blender, we have smoother playback. At this point, make sure you have the AE to Blend plugin installed. Link will be in the description. It costs $10, but it is totally worth it. Now back in After Effects, we'll select the camera, hit U, then select the position, Control click on the orientation, and then hit Control C to copy. And finally, here in Blender, we'll hit T to bring up this toolbar on the left side. And if you have the AE to Blend plugin installed, you should see it at the bottom left. And with the keyframes copied to the clipboard, you can hit Create Camera. And there we can see our camera that's moving around. Also, you can copy your solids as planes, so let's control click on the arrow to reveal all of our transform properties, select the anchor point, hold down shift, select Z rotation, which will select everything in between. We don't need the opacity, and then hit Control C to copy. And back in Blender, we can hit the create plane button. This is very useful because sometimes you might need to create some planes on the wall here, or even let's say a null object from just this point. And in fact, here we'll select the null, control click on the arrow, select all of its properties, Control C to copy. And this time we'll hit the create empty button, which could be very useful in case we want to recreate the geometry of our scene. Anyway, we'll select all of them and delete. And if you hit 0, you can jump to the camera view. Now let's go over to the camera settings by clicking on this icon and then enable the background images and we'll find our JPEG sequence. Let's open it up. Then we'll switch to an image sequence. Set the frames to 250 because this is 10 seconds long and 25 frames per second. Make sure auto refresh is checked so that it animates in the viewport. Then we can increase the opacity to 100%. But now as we move this along, you'll see that the grid is kind of moving up and down all over the place and it looks as if it's not tracked properly, but that's not the case. Actually, we have to go back to the camera settings, scroll back up. You'll see the focal length is set to 50 because the AE to Blend plugin doesn't transfer over the focal length. So back in After Effects, we'll copy the focal length value and then paste it over here. Now let's click and play, but it's still not quite right. And that's because the keyframes on the empty are not set properly. So we'll select all of them, hit G to grab and slide them over by 1 frame. So now everything is looking good. Now, one thing we could do to make things easier for ourselves in the future is to align the grid to the scene so that when we create objects, they kind of face the right direction. So let's hit Shift A to create an empty plane axis. Then we'll select the camera transform empty, Control click on the empty that we just created to make it the active object, and then hit Control P to parent, but keep the transform. And now as we rotate this empty object by hitting R and Z on the Z axis, we can spin it around so that the Y axis is going that way and the X axis is going this way. And I actually want to spin the X axis so that it kind of matches the angle with that wall over there. But now also, each of these squares on the grid represents 1 meter because Blender actually uses metric units by default. And as it is now, this scene is enormous. So we'll go back to the camera view and then we'll go to File, Append to import a model. And I like to use this CC0 human model that's based on real life size. So we'll go to Object and you can see it's very tiny down there, but we'll select the empty once again, hit S and scale down the empty, which will in turn scale up the scene. And you could say, for example, have some sort of human walk in your scene so you can use them as reference. But in this case, we'll just eyeball it. I don't know, maybe something like that. Maybe just a little bit. So that seems fine. And by doing these few tedious steps, it will actually make your life a lot easier in the long run because now you have everything lined up perfectly and everything is set to size. And in fact, I'm just now noticing that the human is facing the other direction, so we can hit RZ180 so that he faces the camera. Now we do have a bunch of empty objects available now, so what we can do to clean things up is select the camera, go to Object, Animation, Bake Action, and then make sure you have this option checked which says Clear Parents, and then hit OK. And this will bake all of the keyframes to the camera and then unparent the camera from everything else. So now we can delete all of these empty objects, but we still have the correct camera animation. And that pretty much wraps up the tracking workflow from After Effects to Blender.